So as I present this, you guys are going to hear the thesis that I did come through. But I will formally introduce myself now. My name is Zachary Thomas. I am a senior audio production major as well as accelerated Master of Fine Arts in audio production. So I'm currently dual enrolling undergrad and graduate courses this semester and next semester before fully going into our audio production graduate program here at MTSU. Super excited about that. Beyond that, I'm also a Buchanan Fellow and the Honors College minor. So I have been in the Honors College gauntlet for all 4 years. And this is my thesis, which is based on this book by Dodd called The Voice of the Heart. He explains 8 different emotions and how all of our feelings relate to the emotions in this book. And I wrote an entire album of 7 songs based on those emotions. So each song is a different emotion, which I thought was pretty cool. But this is the abstract from my thesis, so I will save you all the details, and you guys are literate, so you guys can read if you would like to. But the basis of this, I used the book as the guide for the entire thesis. And beyond that, I pulled from other various different sources. So this book is biblically based, so I pulled biblical stories and stuff like that. I also pulled from Greek folklore, my own experiences, and many other different references and stuff throughout this entire project. So, you might be asking, why? Well, as an audio production major, I've always been interested in not just producing other people's projects, but my own. But I am not traditionally a songwriter, so this pushed me to get into the entire writing, producing, everything for this project. So we'll look at the 3 prongs of my project. So kind of whittled it down into 3 different parts for the thesis. So my thesis covered the creative aspect, as it was a creative thesis. There was a technical aspect to my thesis, as well as an analytical aspect to writing an entire album. So we'll look at the creative part first. So each of the 7 songs was written, arranged, recorded, and produced exclusively by me. One of the stipulations of doing a creative thesis is it has to be based on you. You cannot rely on anybody else for your own thesis. So in the proposal, the idea was to maybe have my family members be recorded, or me record somebody else and co-write with somebody. But instead, I exclusively wrote and recorded the whole 9 yards. And as I said earlier, it was based on this book here and on that screen. So the creative process depends for every person. If you are interested in a creative thesis, you're going to be like, well, what would your creative process look like, and how does it relate to me? Well, it does depend. So it's going to be very based on your experiences, what you want to do, how you want to do it, and it's going to be very personal based on what you want to do. I've seen many different theses. I know a couple other lower classmen that are also wanting to do albums, but their album isn't going to be anywhere near mine. They're basing it on different things, different experiences. Everybody has their own experience. And so you kind of get to delve into that, which is really cool. We'll look at some statistics based on the creative stuff that I've done. So 7 songs. There's 6 originals on this album, as well as a rearrangement / cover / mashup, which I'll talk about a little bit later. The average runtime for each song on its own is about 3 minutes and 42 seconds. The intro song runs a little bit longer, about 5 minutes, and the final song runs a little bit long as well, at about 4 minutes. And then within the thesis, one of the songs runs about 2 minutes. So it kind of just ranges beyond the entire album. But every instrument on this thesis was digitally recorded and written on my computer. Across the board, that's 320 audio tracks across 8 different projects. So, my computer's not happy with me by the end of this project. But it was a very hefty project in and of its own. I booked 12 hours of campus studio time for exclusively recording vocals. I recorded my voice. I am not a singer, so Auto-Tune was a great friend of mine this project. But 12 hours of campus studio time exclusively for vocals. The last song I recorded an entire choir built from my family and some friends. That was in a 4-hour session and used only on the last song in the rearrangement of the 2 songs used for that one. And then total time spent, it's really hard to take into account because the software that I used, neither of them give me a specific time spent on the project, and various different save files and stuff like that makes it hard to do the math. But overall, I would say I've spent about a solid 2 months on writing, recording, producing the songs themselves. That is like total runtime. I just started and ended. That doesn't include breaks and stuff. I started in the spring of this year and then just defended it on November 5th, I believe, or 5th or 8th. I can't remember off the top of my head. But that's it on the kind of creative part. We'll go into the technical side, the second prong. So looking at the technical side of this thesis, not only am I talking about literal technology, I also had to look at topics such as, chord progressions, production techniques. That was a song-by-song basis. So within the thesis that I wrote, I broke down not only did I break down every single emotion and talk about what they were, and we'll talk a little bit more about them here in a minute, but what they were, what they meant. I also did it by song. So each song as it relates to an emotion. I also broke down each song and how I worked on it, what went right with the song, what went wrong with the song, what went wrong generally in the project or right in the project, which I'll also touch on later. And then a full list of technologies used was included in this thesis, as well as a general list of terms that ended up being about 2.5 pages long just to get you antiquated with the actual thesis itself. So we'll look at that text sheet. I'm not going to explain everything on here, but this is just a glimpse of all the technology used, from computer to virtual effects. All of that is computer-based, so everything was on the 2 computers listed, which was a MacBook Air, which is right here, and then my Mac Studio that I used both in my apartment and the campus offering of the computer. Audio interface, won't get into a bunch of details. That's basically how you record or run an audio project without the computer getting upset at you. A DAW is also known as a digital audio workstation, and that's where I actually wrote the projects, recorded, produced, all that within those softwares. MIDI instruments, MIDI stands for Musical Instrument Digital Interface. That's just how I recorded the fake instruments and made them sound real. And then virtual effects, those are just things to make the sound, manipulate the sound in some way or another. And then getting to the analog realm, microphones, I used 6 different microphones on this project, 1 for my vocal, and then the other 5 were used to record the choir. And then as we look at the example of the list of terms, this is taken from the first page of terms on my thesis. And so I gave a disclaimer of, for the purpose of fully comprehending this work, the following terms are crucial to understand, and then lo and behold, 2.5 pages book of just random stuff. But these are words that are used within the discipline of audio production. So some of the words may not be familiar to an outsider, which is why I included them in the list of terms for people to get antiquated with the project. I also included terms from the book in these list of terms, including this bottom one, conditions of the heart. This is really important for understanding the emotions and the context of the thesis. So that was why stuff like that was there, but I include other points from the book that we'll talk about here in a little bit. Looking at the software used, this was a screenshot of 2 of the projects. Ableton Live was my main software of choice. Pro Tools is the school standard and the industry standard, so I had to use those in when I was using the studios here on campus, booking the time and whatnot. And then I would transfer the stuff from the various different recordings from Pro Tools into Ableton Live, and then continue to work, manipulate, edit from there. So that is kind of the technical side of things. Let's go to the analytical side. It's kind of the third point. So analytically, I basically summarized the book down, analyzed each song based on chord progressions, whatnot, various different what we call ear candies, which are just things that are going to grab your attention in the middle of a song to keep you listening, and why the songs work with the emotion that they do. Lyrical analysis. Every single song does have lyrics in it, so I analyzed what the lyrics meant, how they related to the emotions, stuff like that, as well as the compositional analysis, which just is a fancy way of saying I analyzed how I wrote the songs using chord structure, what key, stuff like that. So overall, my entire thesis was 53 pages, but 7 of those 53 pages were lyric sheets. Just for the songs. So it is not nearly as scary as a thesis may seem if you've not taken one yet. But looking at those 8 emotions, we're gonna, you don't have to go into the details, but this was basically a quick and dirty breakdown of each emotion. These are the 8 emotions discussed in the book. I will say they look pretty negative. But as the book explains, the emotions themselves are not negative. They are just there, and then what makes them negative or positive is the gain and the impairment. So I summarized those there in this graph, but it was really interesting to see how I could write songs based on these emotions. A lot of the songs I came from a point of impairment, pushed it into a point of gain, because you can switch from one to the other throughout the emotions, as Dodd explains in his book, which is really cool. So moving from this breakdown of the emotions into the breakdown of the songs themselves, these are the 7 song titles. The emotion associated with the song is in the second column, and the third is just a quick and dirty summarization and linkage between the emotions and the how the song kind of represents them. So like, for instance, looking at Minotaur, if I can listen to, this one is Crumble and Burn that's currently playing. So I wrote it in an impaired state. If I look back at the impaired state of, it was anger. If I look at the impaired state, it's either depression or pride. So I wrote from a point of pride, and then the end of the song falls into a point of depression. Then I wrote pridefully, and then like kind of depression feeling of the third verse of the song, just to really kind of explain the emotions through the songs and all the analogies and metaphors and stuff like that I used throughout the thesis, which was pretty cool. So then looking ahead, so what was the point of this entire thing, right? So what? Well, I did this really to push myself. As a producer, I usually work with other artists and not with my own work. So this was really a point of driving home what I wanted to, what I said in high school I would do. I said I would write an album in high school. Didn't do that. So this was really a point of me to actually finish something that I said I would start. So let's look at some final thoughts on this project. So I have an entire point in my thesis to talk about procrastination, because we are all honor students and we know procrastination is a real thing. Productivity and environment habits is something that I learned through this project. Being able to figure out where I work productively and what environment I need to get the most work done. I found that when I was actually writing and editing music, the best thing was me to turn off any like AC and noise machine that may be in my room or around me, put my phone on complete lockdown, and then just zone in. But productivity, wow, that was a word. When I was trying to write lyrics or stuff like that, it was actually more beneficial for me to go hang out with my friends and then write the lyrics afterwards. So it was very interesting to see the dichotomy of that. And then working on the thesis itself, again, I found that I worked better writing the thesis paper in a group of people where I could use ideas of like, oh, they're working, I should probably get busy too. So stuff like that was really what helped me finish this project in its entirety. And then projects, another thing, project-based and just any project in general is always going to take more time than you think it's going to. I thought when I did my proposal, I was like, oh yeah, I will finish this in like maybe 3 weeks and I'll get everything done and I'll be sitting pretty when I start the fall semester. Fall semester came around and I was like, oh, I gotta like actually finish everything. This is gonna be crazy. But it's always gonna take longer than you think. Procrastination is always going to bite you in the back, but the way you respond to both of those is way more important than them getting you in the first place, which is a big point of emphasis in this thesis. And then personally, like I kind of said, the productivity and environment habits is big, but also going through this book and very, very much analyzing the book itself, kind of learned and relearned my emotions and what they mean in the context of the book. As well as finally finished an album. Hey guys, I have an album out. It was great. And learned and applied all of the science of the production and creation process. As a producer, I'm used to writing chords or melodies for people, and now writing lyrics for myself, and then the melody for my lyrics, and the chords for my melody, and so on and so forth, was very much something that I had not done before this, and it was very, very cool to kind of finally see and come to fruition. So my biggest takeaway for you guys for a thesis project is just learn you. Whether you do a research or a creative-based thesis, it does not matter. Learn you throughout the process and learn what you want to do. With some of the underclassmen, you guys are thinking about what thesis you want to do or how you want to go about it. Just find something that excites you, something that you're excited about, something that you're interested in, because you're going to be with it for at least 2 semesters. So if you do a spring and fall semester scenario, you'll actually have that entire summer to work on the thesis as well, which is pretty cool. But yes, so I ended this thing the same way I ended my paper in my album. This was just a thank you and to everybody who helped me with this thesis, and I made it look cool or something like that. But yes, if you are interested in the album, this is what it looks like, and you can scan that QR code to listen.
Can you take us out on one powerful emotion? What should we end with?
Like song-wise?
Yeah.
I don't know which song is playing right now.
Can you pick it? What are the 7 emotions we get to pick from?
So the 8 emotions are guilt. Oh gosh, can I go from top down?
Your choice.
The one that I would love to play would be Joy All Around. That one is
joy. Go for joy.
That one is my favorite. I can pull up that one. But yes, are there any questions for me as I'm looking at my computer?
Can you please repeat the name of the book?
Yes, the book is The Voice of the Heart, Call to Full Living by Dodd.
Dodd.
Yes. So this is the last song of the thesis, and it does have... That is... He's turning it up. Awesome. Are there any other questions? Or comments or concerns or anything? So this is actually a mashup of 2 songs. The first song was Joy in the Morning by Jordan Wells. The second song is Joy by Ben Rector. I rearranged both songs based on each other, used Joy by Ben Rector as a backing track influence, and then rearranged, re-recorded, and re-edited the lyrics to fit together. And that is me singing.